There's just so much.
You're listening to a Mamamia podcast.
Mamamia acknowledges the traditional owners of land and waters that this podcast is recorded on.
Hello and welcome to Mamamia Out Loud, what women are actually talking about on Friday, the 15th of December. I'm Holly Wainwright.
I'm Mia Freedman.
And I'm Jessie Stevens.
And on the show today, a quarter of Australians still think there's a group of people it's fine to hit. Also, a treat for everyone who's done with this year and who isn't. Yes, it's what's going to happen next year. And our best and worst, which include unwelcome flashbacks, a milestone birthday, and a Clare baby update. But first, Jessie.
In case you missed it, nomophobia is the fear of being without your phone. The feeling that you get, that panic of being disconnected, accompanied by a surge in stress. Now
Do you
has a
speak
name.
Latin? Where does the nomophobia?
Okay, it comes from mob. Like mobile.
Oh, nomophobia.
Latin.
It's not
internet.
Latin.
I thought it was Latin.
It's internet speak, exactly right.
Shouldn't it then be called nomophobia? Oh, yeah. Let's go with nomophobia.
How about we let them make up the
I
words now?
understand.
Because you are not nailing it.
Fair.
Research by Deloitte has found about 20% of us check our phones more than 50 times per day, which is once every 20 minutes of our waking lives. Do you think you check your phone that much? I do.
I check more than that, I reckon.
I do.
I think I'm at the upper end.
I'm trying not to, but I do.
I don't know. When I'm scrolling for hours, I don't have to check at different times. That just counts as one time.
Yes, true. Exactly right. Interestingly, we had a real kind of communal sense of nomophobia, which wasn't about the phone. But remember the Optus outage recently where everyone panicked?
Oh, yeah.
Everyone, their stress levels went through the roof. Luca was saying that he went up the street, he had to go and do something. And he said it was the weirdest thing walking down the street because everyone was looking at each other. Like It was this weird, eerie, like there's other people around.
You could tell who the Optus customers were because they were making eye contact.
Exactly.
In news that I found, frankly, pretty gobsmacking, it turns out that 1 in 4 adults, that's 25% of adults, think smacking is necessary to properly raise kids. It's not just how many smack their kids. It's the people who think that not only is smacking okay, but it's required to raise a child properly, to raise a good human. And half of parents, that's 50% of parents across all age groups, reported smacking their children. The United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child considers smacking and all types of physical punishment, however mild, a violation of child rights. And it's banned in 65 countries. In Sweden, for example, it is illegal to smack your child. I can't believe that it is not illegal in Australia because you know what it's illegal to do? Smack another adult in your house.
Yeah, smack anyone.
You can't walk down the street and smack someone. You can't smack your partner, your spouse. You can't. It's illegal. But you can smack a small child if you are a grown adult. And I would like to know why that is.
The research on this, it's important to say, is as clear as research can be in terms of not only does it not work, it is detrimental to the mental health and the development of that child, like rates of anxiety and depression, and really interestingly, incidents of family violence in adulthood, being the victim and the perpetrator. I suppose if you think someone loves you, you think, you know,
Exactly.
my mum or my dad loves me, but they hit me and that's something that's internalized.
When I deserve it.
When I deserve it. So I did a bunch of research because I went, I can't understand why Australia wouldn't have done this yet. We do have a bit of a history of thinking that parenting or what happens in the home is the private domain of a mum and a dad, and that's just they want to keep the law and the government and the state out of that.
Like rape in marriage.
Yep. The other thing is trying to accept cultural differences.
Like rape in marriage, which didn't used to be a crime until reasonably recently.
Exactly. And I think that the fact that we still have a long way to go with domestic violence speaks to a prevailing idea that what happens behind closed doors is really none of our business. And I think that this is kind of at play too. And some say there's a bit of a concern about what it would mean for the legal system, what it would mean for police, how it would work in practice if it is illegal.
Because you'd have children having to report their parents.
Yeah. And then what happens, you know, Australia has a really, really dark history when it comes to removing children from their parents. And that is something that Australia is very, very cognizant of not repeating. So I think that that's probably another legacy that we're aware of. The fact that the data is so clear, and the other thing that the data shows is that when you do make it illegal, as it is in 65 countries, the rates do decrease. Like it does make a real difference
whether you
to people's
enforce
lives.
it or not.
Yeah, whether you enforce it or not. And there's a question here about generational change, because if you were someone who was hit by your parents, I mean, it's brave and it's bold and it's hard to change how you parent.
I don't think so. I mean, because Gen Xers, pretty much we were all hit by our parents in the same way that social mores change. I don't blame our parents. Like the boomers who are listening to this who hit their children, you know, there are also teachers who had to administer the cane in schools.
Yeah.
Like
they did the best they could with the information
of course.
they had.
And also that was just what happened in the same way that people used to drink drive, people used to sunbake, people used to smoke during pregnancy. We know more now.
The thing about smacking is that how you were parented comes out in almost an unconscious way. So I think that in that way it is difficult to break a cycle of this is what was done in my childhood. Oh my goodness, I'm doing this. I need to stop.
Right.
And that I think is a hard thing and what generationally we're seeing Australians struggle with.
I think that it will become illegal in Australia. I predict that. I'm boldly predicting that. It's illegal in New Zealand. New Zealand's just 5 minutes away, you know, globally speaking. It's illegal in plenty of countries.
And it's about to be illegal in Canada as well.
Yes. The thing is, although it sounds shocking that a quarter of Australians still consider this to be a part of discipline when it comes to raising children, at least 75% don't, right? Like in some ways, it shows you how quickly in a generation or two, as you've said, Mia, about maybe boomers feeling differently, it may still be legal, but there are only a few pockets where it's kind of acceptable. Generally speaking, it's something that parents know not to do. One of the things I'll say is because when I used to host a parenting show, when I used to host This Glorious Mess and write about parenting a lot, I remember going into this topic quite often with various experts. And the so-called pro-smacking people would argue that it has to be administered in what they would term a correct way in order for it to work as discipline. Now, I want to put this out there that I very firmly do not believe in smacking children, but I'm just putting forward what people are saying. And that is that you never lash out and hit a child in anger, but that sometimes it forms part of a consequence that you have agreed with your kids as their boundaries, right? And I have people I know really well in my family or extended family. The model for this would be, imagine, wait till your father gets home, right? And that you might have to meet him in the den with the belt.
Oh my God.
These ideas are so horrible to us now, but they were framed then that was not something that dad did lashing out in fury, but something that was planned and meted out, as in a school.
Corporal punishment.
As corporal punishment, in order to teach consequences for actions. And there was a cohort, which I believe is shrinking all the time, and I'm talking specifically in kind of like Anglo culture at least, that's shrinking all the time, that thinks that that sort of discipline is effective. Because as you say, Jessie, the stats don't bear it. But one thing I will say, because this is what a lot of parents won't say out loud, the only time that most parents who are on the same page of believing that any kind of violence against their children is abhorrent, the only time they will have ever smacked their children will have absolutely have been in a fit of anger or fear as a reaction in a split-second moment, right? You might hear parents do it when their child's gone missing, like, or run into the road, or, you know, something like that. And they're so afraid and they're in such a heightened emotional state that they lash out. I'm not in any way saying that's okay, but what I do want to talk about is that one of the emotions that women say has most surprised them in parenthood, and this is definitely true for me, not anymore, but when my kids were smaller, was rage, right? There is a horrible truth in the fact that no two people in the world have ever made me angrier in particular moments than the two people I love the absolute most in the world. You're at the end of your rope. You are stressed beyond belief about whatever, and they won't do what you, and they won't, and they won't, and they won't, and they say a thing, and you have never been so angry. And what I often think about that is that we require parents to be superhuman in their own self-restraint and discipline. And we should be. That's a standard we should absolutely be held to. And that's why I think it would actually be great for smacking to be made illegal, because it's all about the social standard that you accept. So we should all be striving for that. But there are times at which we are asking so much of people in their most often stressed moments. And I think sometimes, what if the pressures on me were greater than they are? What if I also had maybe a lot more financial pressure, addiction issues, abuse in my own home, all those things? Would I still be able to hold it together? What people tell you, take a deep breath, remove yourself from the situation, go into a room, sit down, breathe deeply. Like, all that stuff requires so much emotional intelligence. And sometimes we are not that person.
I wonder if there's something so deep going on, because it's about conflict resolution and it's about emotional regulation and it's about all of those things, that if it has been done to you at some point in your distant past, that impulse must rise, and then you've kind of got to look at that impulse. Because, Holly, I think that you're exactly right, that if you are someone who has enormous childcare responsibilities, financial pressure, disadvantaged,
I'm sorry, I just don't buy this. Being a parent, being an adult is about impulse control.
I agree with you 100%.
And if you can't, you should not be a parent. If you cannot control your impulses, you should not be a parent. And I know we have no way of making that happen or not. And sometimes it's bloody hard.
Yeah.
But you have to do it in the same way that you have to not hit other people in your life.
I agree with you 100%. I don't want to sound in any way like I'm making excuses.
No, I know that.
But what I am saying is, though, I think this is why it's really important and encouraging that it becomes less and less and less acceptable to the point where it should become illegal, because it's not as easy as it sounds. And I know that that sounds terrible. And I just don't know any perfect people who never lose their shit, right? And so I think we should constantly be striving for exactly what you say, Mia. Impulse control, but it's easier sometimes than others.
I have a question. If you saw someone hit their child in public, at a bus stop, in a shopping centre, what would you do?
That's a really interesting question that you ask, because I kept Googling this going, is that illegal? It keeps saying the home, and it's definitely illegal in an education setting. So there's something about schools and early childhood. Obviously, a teacher can't. I even think that if you were picking your child up from school and you, there's something about the environment. But I don't know, because if I call the police, all right, what would you do, Holly? I have no idea.
I'm not proud of my answer on this, but it would depend. It would depend on the circumstances, because I definitely have seen people hit their children in public.
They're legally entitled to. That's what this is.
That's what I mean.
But for me, and I know this isn't right, it would depend. Are they whacking them around the face, or are they tapping them on the bum? This is what I mean. This is all the levels of distinction, which is why it would be better if it was just illegal. These are all the layers of distinction that you apply to that when you're seeing it and you're making a judgment call. I know that it is deeply, deeply frowned upon in circles that I've moved in. And so if women ever admit to doing it, they do it with absolute shame and whispered disgust at themselves. But if they see someone else doing it, I'm possibly ashamed to admit it would depend on the situation and the context in which that blow occurred.
How about you, Mia?
My first instinct was I'd call the police.
Really?
And then my next instinct was, what would I do? Hold them there until the police arrived, and then I've got the police in their business. But then I'm but if they do this in public, what are they doing in private? I mean, of course, I'm not talking about a tap on the bottom. I know what you're saying, Hole. That's why I think the line needs to be clearer in terms of what is acceptable. Not that you want to, I don't know. It's
because even the term, right, is reasonable force.
Yeah.
For educators, there's mandatory reporting in terms of if a child is coming into their care and is covered in bruises.
Yeah.
And then you what's reasonable for? It's a deeply flawed law.
And you're not meant to use an implement, and you're not meant to hit above a certain place. And who gets to decide what force is? And how do you decide the difference with force on a 2-year-old versus a 12-year-old? And imagine if this was about what husbands could do to their wives. Don't do it in anger. You must only do it as a consequence, and you can't do it above the neck, and you can't use an implement. Why the most vulnerable people in our community, in our world, do we not afford the same protection legally as we do to adults? I don't understand.
All right, peeps, it's time for my 2024 pop culture prediction list.
Friends, 2024 is somehow just around the corner. And here are some things that happened in 2023 that you might not have predicted. Women's soccer became the biggest sport in the world. That was one of my favourite things. Artificial intelligence skyrocketed. ChatGPT was only launched at the end of last year, so the rise of ChatGPT potentially stealing all our jobs has really gained momentum this year. Lizzo was accused of a hostile work environment. Andrew Tate became a household name. He was one of the most Googled people in the world this year. And on a far more serious note, we, of course, have the Israel-Gaza war and an earthquake in Turkey. This week, Miss Double Bay, an Instagram meme account, posted a list of predictions for 2024, lighthearted predictions. And it made me think about what is going to happen in the year ahead. Here are some predictions that they made. I just want to hear whether you guys think they're legit or not. Okay, first one. I think this is going to happen. Kim Kardashian will start dating a tech bro.
This is genius. She definitely will. That is the logical place for her to go.
Yep.
And she has been busy repositioning herself as an entrepreneur, legal genius, and she hangs out with a lot of venture capitalists.
Yeah, Miranda Kerr really pioneered this with her Snapchat guy.
They are the trophy boyfriend of the modern age.
Another prediction, Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds will split.
Wash your mouth out.
That's what they say.
Oh, right. Based on what?
Vibes.
Oh, vibes. Sorry, of course. If it's vibes, then I'm totally backing it.
This is one of my favourites. The Oscars will just be okay. Which I think is true. Since the slap, I think it's just like...
Was the slap last year or the year before? Or was it this year?
Last year.
Last year.
Has there been one since the slap?
Yeah, and it was very timid.
See, I have no memory of it.
And the last one is the most horrific of all. Skinny jeans will come back.
No.
Mia, you're the fashion correspondent. We're not ready, are we?
They're not coming back.
Okay, what cut of jeans?
Still wide leg. Still
Really?
wide leg loose. The low rise tried to come back and women, quite rightly, said, fuck you.
Not
Sent
again.
it back.
No,
Not
we are
again.
not doing that.
Friends, I wrote some predictions and I would like to get your input on them. Again, based on vibes. I don't wish any of this to happen, but I feel it may be in the water. Divorces. Let's talk divorces because Justin Timberlake and Jessica Biel are on the rocks. I can feel it.
Yeah.
I can feel it.
And some of these things could happen in January when it's a bit quiet.
That's what will happen. We're going to have a big Jan, aren't we?
Yeah, when celebrities take their trash out.
And celebrities know that we're having a bit of a break.
Yeah.
She needs to distance herself from his brand now. That's what needs to happen now. Like, he has survived at least one skirmish with a cheating scandal while he's been married to Jessica. But with all this stuff this year about the Britney biography, it's time for her to distance.
This is pretty audacious, but I reckon Ben Affleck and J-Lo have run their course.
2 more years.
Two more years?
Two more years?
I think 2 more years for them because I do not believe they will be together forever.
They've got more sex to have.
Well, I also think the cultural pressure on them to maintain that brand is probably another year. And then the divorce will be slow. But I agree, it's not going to last. God, we sound terrible.
We don't wish anyone ill. We
don't.
Crystal balling.
Northwest and a kid's skincare line.
Oh, yeah.
Thoughts?
That's that 100%.
I'm
surprised that she doesn't already have one. How old is she? 6?
Northwest is 10, so honestly, she's aging out.
She'll definitely have a reality show as well as the two things will come together. So there'll be, Kris Jenner, hardest working person in the world, is setting up the new generation because there's like 1 million children that all the girls have. And also Rob has, I think, one, unclear. They will all be the next generation. There'll be a reality show and then they'll all have all their own businesses.
Yes, very
Because that's what the reality show is now. The Kardashians is essentially just a big infomercial. Works brilliantly.
Well, the other day I noticed on my desk I had a delivery for newborn skin products. And
anti-aging?
Anti-aging skin products for newborns.
Become a fetus.
That's what it's going to be. It's going to be like your baby needs a vitamin C.
My daughter, who is so obsessed with skincare, we've discussed this on the show before, that the teens are so obsessed with it. The more celebrity lines, the better, frankly.
There was a meme that I saw that I loved that said, ruin your tween's Christmas by refusing to buy her an $85 eye serum.
Exactly. That is what's going on in my house. I'm like, this is madness.
Here's another one that I'm not going to go into the specifics of what I think the scandal will be, but I've got a feeling about Leonardo DiCaprio that things might not be going great for him. I just think the whole dating women under 25 has been a bit of a joke. And as he gets older, I just wonder if we're going to get closer and closer to a scandal or if I've been burnt by maybe the Brad Pitt stuff that's come out.
Are there any Generation X icons of that level, those men who have not been touched by at least the whiff of that kind of stuff.
That's a
because
really good
Depp's
point.
gone, obviously.
Yeah.
Brad Pitt, I've been trying to defend him, but it's becoming harder every day. I have to give it up.
Yep.
I don't know. Leo, he's like the third point.
George
in that.
Clooney's been fine.
Yep.
That's true.
Matt Damon even said one thing during Me Too, that he got a little bit of a wobble, which wasn't great. Leonardo DiCaprio, I just don't feel good about that. Brooklyn Beckham and Nicola, I think, will have twins.
Oh, no.
Yes,
Not
twins.
more of them.
Maybe he'll be a great little dad.
He looks at her like she hung the moon, and she looks at him like he's something on her shoe. No one ever puts up a meme that goes, find someone who looks at you the way Nicola looks at Brooklyn.
No one. Celebrity memoirs. What do we reckon? Because we've had a big year in celebrity
Been great.
memoirs. I was thinking Amanda Bynes. Amanda Bynes has just launched a podcast. She's got a very similar story to the Britney Spears one. Because this year we had Britney, we had Harry. Who's still got a story to tell?
You know what would be amazing is if William did one.
I know.
It would just
I
be
know.
amazing.
Oh.
Because I keep looking at those royals, the must carry on robotic royals, and I'm like, you have got to change up this game.
Yeah.
You are in a lot of trouble. There, you are on the nose.
So true.
Colonialism is on the nose. The Commonwealth is on the nose. We don't even seem to be able to find anyone who wants to host the games for the bloody Commonwealth anymore. Never mind openly support it in any way, which is a good thing. It's progress. They've got to change the game. Wouldn't it be
I
great
like that.
if Wills did a Harry, and didn't trash his family so much, but
Yeah.
opened the door to all the things and told his side of the story through a really, really classy British ghostwriter? That would be great.
They're going to have to pull some
things.
things out of their bag of tricks this year because Charles and Camilla are coming to Australia on a little trip. I know Camilla No Filter.
Yes!
That would be a
that's
bit of
a great
fun.
idea.
Thank
You've met them
you.
before, Mia. That
I
could
have.
happen.
She has Riz.
Does he have Riz?
Not really, but he's lovely. And together they have BDE, together,
Yeah.
if that's a thing. It's weird. They weren't even sitting at the same table, but it was just quite, they've got amazing chemistry.
Okay.
Vision board for 2024.
And the other one that I had to cheer Mia up is...
Are you pregnant again?
That's a good idea. Work becomes cool again.
Oh,
Maybe
God.
hustle culture will come back.
Yes!
The reinvention of the commute.
Yeah.
The commute will kind of get a bit more glamorous.
Yeah. I'd love it if work became cool again.
I think it's going to happen.
My word of the year should be hustle, and I'll start to bring that back.
Yeah.
Do you think?
And you could just yell it randomly at
Yeah.
people all the time.
Hustle!
Please, Outlouders, take with a grain of salt all the people we have just wished ill on for 2024.
I've got some other predictions. I think Holly Wainwright will get a fringe.
No,
Yes.
you don't.
I do.
A side fringe, a curtain bang
I
fringe,
also think
a full
Holly
fringe.
Wainwright will get Botox in 2024. I think she'll cross the Rubicon.
I know I'm looking bad, but I've had COVID.
No. That's funny.
I think Mia will go blonde.
Oh, yeah.
I think Mia's going to
Yeah.
panic and go blonde. She's going to have her grandma crisis.
What if she does Elizabeth Gilbert and goes buzz cut?
Oh,
Yes.
Elizabeth Gilbert's buzzed her hair. I was thinking of going, but my
Buzz cut.
Calyx have reminded me of their existence this year after me getting a fringe.
And how about Out Loud? We're just going to get bigger and better? What's the vibe? World tour?
I
Like
think
Taylor?
we will. I think we'll do our first show overseas next year, somewhere. I think
Surely
we will.
Taylor Swift's baby is on the vision board somewhere for 2024. Taylor Swift's going to have a baby, don't you
I think they're going to break up next year. I hate to say this, but I
Really?
think they'll break up next year. I think that she'll work out. He's really sweet, but he's not very smart. And she's really smart. He's got lovely big Labrador energy, but she needs someone who's really quite complicated. And I think it's refreshing. We're talking about types on Wednesday, but I think he's very not her type because she's always been with brooding artists, and he's just completely uncomplicated as a football player and seems really lovely and not in the creative field. But I think ultimately as an artist, she'll want more. But I could be wrong. I hope she stays happy.
Maybe she can't fight her true type.
Maybe.
If you want to make Out Loud part of your routine 5 days a week, we release segments on Tuesdays and Thursdays just for Mamamia subscribers. To get full access, follow the link in the show notes, and a big thank you to all our current subscribers.
It's Friday and it's best and worst, which means we are unwrapping what went well, what did not. Mia Freedman, you are going first.
My daughter turned 18. this week, which was such a milestone. She got to try alcohol for the first time.
Oh, wow.
Who knew?
We were talking about what you can do when you're 18. And at the same time that I yelled, you can legally be on OnlyFans, someone else said, you can vote. And I was like, I forgot about voting. I was more thinking you could jump on OnlyFans and make a real solid income.
Oh, you're such a good influence on the family, Jessie.
It was great. So that was terrific. And on Saturday we had a bunch of her friends over and it was a very hot day. And God, I just loved being around a whole lot of kids who just finished school. Like it's that amazing time where they've just come back from schoolies. They hadn't got their end of year results yet. It's just a beautiful time in your life. And I was sort of asking all of them, what are your plans for Thursday? Because that was the day their ATARs came out. And they're all just like, what's Thursday? And then they were all like, wait, what day is today? I love that. My worst of the week was we went out to celebrate Coco's birthday on Monday night as a family dinner. I drank too much champagne.
When you say too much,
like
you might have had 2 glasses.
I think I had 2.5.
Oh, goodness.
I'm notoriously a lightweight. So I had 2.5, although it's hard to say because they were refilling our glass. And then
dangerous.
also I drank other people's glasses. So I couldn't drive home. So Luca had to drive my car home. And on the way, I forgot this, but I tried to get him to stop at the chemist so that I could get the new COVID vaccine.
At that moment, the drive-through chemist.
Yes, because there's a late night chemist near us. And I was like, hey, on the way home, because a new one came out this week, I'm getting it this afternoon with the flu and the COVID. I'm very excited. And so I was like, we're just almost going past. Why can't we
have a bit of fun? See, when he drives me home drunk, I would like to go through McDonald's, please, and get a cheeseburger. And Mia's like, oh my God, can I get a vaccine? Please, please.
That's hilarious.
My worst has been, look, just generally being in the presence of Clare during her last weeks of pregnancy, which I'm sure is everyone's worst.
All the out louders are really worried about her, so your concern is really
very quiet.
God.
Even in the group chat, she's very quiet.
She's very quiet. Look, she's just her own ball of sadness. Look, she's just really been struggling. I think anyone who's had those last weeks of pregnancy are no fun for anyone, especially during a heat wave. And, you know, she doesn't have aircon, so it's just a very sweaty, uncomfortable period. She can now see the end, which I think is better. It's been really, really rough. The good thing has been kind of her playing with Luna, and Luna's discovered Claire's belly and is obsessed with it and knows her cousin's in there, keeps knocking to say, are you there?
Come out and play.
Come out and play. Let's have a roll.
Oh, my
They've
gosh.
developed a connection. But my best is, I can't remember where I saw this. Everything I can't remember where I saw it. I probably saw it on TikTok. I saw this idea, which is to set an email address up for your baby. And if you have pictures or videos or anything you want to send them, send it to the email address. Anyway, I kept seeing it. And hormones make you into a crazy person. And that is who I am. I've kept thinking over the last 5 months, I've been like, I have to write to Luna. I have to write to Luna. Because you guys know, because you've been doing this for longer, that, and this is what everyone says, the love doesn't go anywhere. But I can't imagine that I can possibly love Luna this much for my whole life. So I almost feel like I'm gripping it going, don't forget how beautiful
like a helium
this is.
Balloon.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I don't want to forget I love this so much. And so I sat down and wrote Luna a letter to her email address just about like the weeks and how much joy she's brought in everyone and like how it doesn't matter about her ATAR. No, I didn't write that, but you know what I mean.
It will really matter about Luna's ATAR in your house.
You look at her and go, I do not care what you do, anything. It's just you are loved so unconditionally and you have to know what joy you have brought the world just by being in it. And then I did mention it to Claire, and then the next thing I knew, she had emailed me like 1,500 words to forward to Luna's email address.
Holly,
where's your Luna letter
Luna email
about how Luna makes you feel?
Oh, my God. I can't believe this poor child already has emails.
I know.
My inbox is the bane of my existence, and you've already started Luna's inbox overflowing.
Imagine how much spam she's going to have by the time she looks at it.
Imagine. She's going to archive it all and be like, fuck this. Luna, please. Mommy loves you. Holly, what is your worst?
My worst is I feel like I am in December 2021 all over again because I've had COVID, right? And it isn't fun the second time. It isn't fun at all. 1 minute I was going about my life, not feeling great, whinging quite a bit to you lot about how I wasn't feeling great.
You were quite poorly.
Yeah, and I don't even know if that was the COVID because I was testing negative. And then on Friday night, like a freight train coming at me, I got absolutely smashed by it. And I know that this is a privileged thing to say because there are lots of people who haven't, but many of us have kind of forgotten about COVID, right? We're like, oh yeah, it's annoying, comes around. It sucks. It sucks massively. It's overturned our family, obviously, for a period of time and, hopefully it'll be fine. Just when I was getting out of my COVID, Brent got the COVID. So now I'm having to nurse him. We've had to cancel fun things for my birthday. We've had to cancel lots of school things for the kids. We've had to not go to Christmas things we were going to do. It feels like this weird flashback. Maybe I'll get to go and do this, but we probably won't. Like that uncertainty. I know there's been a lot of new information out lately about long COVID. So the other thing is it comes with this big panic too, because you're like, what if it never goes away? This time, fun fact for everybody, I've completely lost my sense of smell. And I didn't last time, but I can walk up to a flower. My garden's got these lovely flowers. Shove my nose in it.
Is it coming back yet?
No, not yet. And I'm testing negative now, but no smell, no taste.
I wonder if that means that you had the OG COVID.
I know, whatever strand, because I think I had the same one as you did, Holly, and my taste went. But even I had it maybe like a month ago now, and I still, when I exercise, I'm not feeling 100. I'm not there. Like I feel quite puffed out and awful, and I forgot about the lingering. It takes a long time to get better.
It's brutal. And I am often self-conscious about wearing masks and things these days because there's a bit of you that even though you're kind of like, oh, don't be a killjoy. But I'm like, no, everybody's still out there, the COVID, and it sucks. But my best is slightly COVID related because it's what I've been doing on the days that I was just lying in bed and couldn't do anything else. And my best is Jon Hamm.
What's he doing? What's Jon Hamm up to?
Are you looking at that photo of him with his willy out again?
No. I have watched the entirety of season 3 Morning Wars.
Hi. You summoned me. Is this our sidebar?
Yes, it is. Come on in. Have a seat.
What can I do for you?
Well, I have a request.
You want to be my favorite oligarch?
No. Well, I'd like to interview you. I'd love you on my show.
Happy to do that.
Now, Mia told me it's not very good. It's not very good, really. No. But Morning Wars, which is the show that has Reese Witherspoon and Jennifer Aniston in it. I loved the first season, got halfway through the second season and forgot all about it because I didn't really care. The third season has Jon Hamm in it. Now, if you don't know who Jon Hamm is, who is he, Jessie? He's Don Draper.
He's Don Draper. He's so gorgeous.
I'm sure that he is a questionable person. In fact, I'm sure he is. I'm sure I've read headlines.
I don't know if he is, but just in case out louders are wondering what I was referring to about his willy out, there's a famous photo. It's a paparazzi photo. I'm not proud that I've looked at it. But he's walking down the street in New York or somewhere and he's wearing a pair of loose-fitting tracksuit pants that are very clingy, and he's clearly wearing, or he seems to be wearing, no underwear underneath, and you can see quite a lot. And that's quite an iconic photo in the realm of paparazzi images.
The man is sexy and he plays bad people. Don Draper, bad person, very sexy. Plays a billionaire guy in this, not that great a person.
Yeah, he's a bit of an Elon Musk character.
Yes, except Elon's not sexy.
No, I know, but I mean, he's that kind of vibe.
Yeah, he's like, I sleep on the factory floor and he owns rockets and stuff. Watching him and Jennifer Aniston having something bordering on sex scenes has been the most fun I've had in the last week while I've been laid up watching the Morning Wars with my COVID. So yes, best of the week, Mr. Jon Hamm. Mia, you have a recommendation before we go.
I do. It's another in our series of good Christmas gifts. Everyone always asks where I get my phone straps from. I wear like these little straps around my phone. Like it makes your phone into a crossbody bag essentially, so you can't lose it. We spoke about nomophobia, the fear of losing your phone, and you can't lose it with this strap. Anyway,
especially because it is bright highlighter yellow.
Well, this isn't the one that I'm recommending today.
Okay, all right.
I've got a whole lot of them. I've been collecting them for a long time. I've always loved them. But usually you have to buy them, from businesses that are not Australian. But there's an Australian lady startup brand. It's called Le Cap phone strap. The crossbody strap and phone case, it comes with a little thing that your phone goes in, is $89. And then you can just get a shoulder and wrist strap on its own for $79. And they're made in Australia. It's a small business. You can follow them on Instagram, LECAP.
Oh, I'm looking now. I need this.
Or
Look how
visit their
damaged my
website.
phone is. I drop it so many times.
Yeah.
Oh.
And that's the other thing. If you drop your phone a lot, it's brilliant. It's particularly good if you've got little kids and you're getting in and out of the car and all of that, because then you don't have to hold your phone. It can just dangle.
This is
You know, it's
amazing.
funny because I did a gift guide for Mamamia. We'll put the link in the show notes. And one of the things I recommended is called Le Sac. And it's a gardening belt that couldn't be less cool than this phone strap. It is amazing and I love it. Le Sac, SAC, gardening belts for the people not cool enough for the phone strap.
If you're looking for something to listen to, yesterday's subscriber episode, we sat down with Elfie Scott and Out Louders had a bunch of questions after watching Strife, and we knew that would happen. We did our series, which is sort of behind the scenes of every episode. We did a bonus episode. But once you watched it, there were lots of questions that came through about what was true, what wasn't. There was a great question about whether anyone ever approached Mia to sell the business and whether she ever considered it.
Questions about my driving.
Yes, exactly
So
right.
many
About
questions.
whether Clare and I got to meet Kylie. Just fantastic. Anyway, we sat down, we answered all of them. That is on this week's subscriber episode. A link will be in the show notes.
Thank you for listening to Australia's #1 news and pop culture show. The episode was produced by Emeline Gazilas. The assistant producer is Tahli Blackman, with audio production by Leah Porges. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Shout out to any Mamamia subscribers listening. If you love the show and you want to support us, subscribing to Mamamia is the very best way to do it. There's a link in the episode description.